Men of Reddit, what do you honestly think about a girl who would sleep with you on a first date? I've had 6 and 2 first dates. The first time resulted in a relationship. The second ended in marriage. If you're both comfortable with it, then I don't see the problem. In reality though, I probably wouldn't be able to pull it off because I'd be too nervous. That's kinda how I felt beforehand. But things got heated and before I know it, we are in bed. Fantastic sex, but didn't lead to a relationship. Just a few weeks of fun. I yell begone, vile wench. Then I pull up my trousers, put on my top hat, and head to Candlemakers for an honest day's work. As a woman, I wouldn't on the first date. I always need time after the first date to really evaluate if I like the person. Second date, if I feel it's right, I won't stop it. This is one double standard that drives me insane. If a woman sleeps with you on a first date, guess what? You've also slept with her on a first date. She's exactly the same as you. If a man sleeps with me on the first date and thinks badly of me because of it, well, I'm not for him. If I would not sleep with a man on the first date, well, he is not for me. Nothing. In either direction. The whole concept is stupid. If you want to sleep with someone, do it. If not, don't. Why does people make stupid archaic arbitrary rules for themselves? I guess I'll address the women of Reddit part of your question. Personally, I associate sex with love, or at least a strong emotional bond. And I hate how women seem to be expected to put out early on. You know, lest the guy think you're frigid and lose interest. I've experimented with one night stands. And even though I found the people physically attractive and was sorta aroused, the act itself felt awful. Without the emotional connection, I couldn't get into the mood and dry sex isn't enjoyable for anyone. I've dated guys who have stopped contacting me because I didn't want to have sex right away. Why? The Cosmo article is bullpoop and seems to be more concerned with telling women that guys will think badly of them if they have sex. That's some stupid shaming poop right there. Yeah. But I do hate how modern culture seems to encourage having sex as though it were nothing more than a handshake. Heck. Once I'm officially in a relationship and that bond has developed, which in my case usually takes around a month after we've taken a liking each other, I will happily have sex 3 times a day and in every position. But I just can't do that with some random who I've been on a date or 2 with. I would wonder if she's looking to just screw around with a guy or if she's actually looking for something with a specific guy. I'm sure a woman would think similarly about a guy. We are not that different. Female here. To me, sex is sex. Love is love. That being said, I did sleep with guys on the first date. First one turned out to be a depressed, clingy guy, bad luck. Second guy, been happily married 8 years now, good luck. You follow your gut, take care of yourself, and own it if you screw up. It's no big deal. When I met my wife, we slept together the first night. She also moved in with me the first night, but that's a story for another time. I married one. We fell in love immediately and got down to business. No beating around the bush. Just a beating in the bush. No time wasted playing games. Couldn't be better. DTF. And we did. And we are still together. Awesome. When I was younger, I don't think I cared about having feelings for the other person. Now, I can't imagine sex without the emotion. Chemistry and feelings make for amazing, sensual sex. I guess I'd be flattered she's so into me, but sex in a first date is something I personally would never do. I'm so concerned about the long-term ramifications of sex, i.e., babies and disease, that it isn't a decision I take lightly. Scenario 1. Was there instant, undeniable chemistry, hours-long conversation and obvious mutual sexual attraction? I would simply call first date sex a natural, healthy response to meeting an awesome person. Scenario 2. Lackluster date. Not much conversation. Ambiguous or downright non-existent attraction. Offering sex at the end of the date seems like a desperate trap. I found, when I was single, that if I slept with a man on the first date, they seemed to respect me less. On my first date with my husband, I told him it was a second base limit. We went to third. I think we held off another 2.5 weeks. Married 11 months later. Have a pretty wild sex life now because we became more inventive about ways to get off without having sex. I don't want to be that guy, but I suspect if the guys you slept with on the first date didn't respect you, then that was a pretty good sign of you dating the wrong guys. Or to put it another way, it wasn't that sleeping with them made them respect you less so much as they really didn't respect you to begin with. Well, I would probably be pretty stoked about it, as I usually have to work damn hard for that to happen. It would also make me more relaxed around her as I'm not stressed out about sex anymore. If a woman is comfortable enough to have sex with me and I want to with her, I don't see the issue. We are both adults making adult decisions. Obviously wrap it up. But I'm not going to look down on her, because that would be hypocritical. I wouldn't just have sex with anyone. And mental stimulation is a huge part of attraction, so it wouldn't just be she pretty. Let's bang. But sex is fun, so why not? T. Aren't dates supposed to be fun? N. Sex is fun. So why not? Apostrophe. This exactly. It's like going on a picnic or out for a round of disc. Except you can do it after you've had an already awesome time together. I would think she was a normal person who didn't read ridiculous crap like Cosmo. Why is this question geared toward one sex and not the other? GRR. Reddit is making me irritable today. I'd wonder if she does it on every first date. Then I'd stop worrying if nothing goes awkward in the morning. It varies on the situation, but generally I would like to get to know her better. Also, if it happens to not work out, I would rather wait till both of us got tested before anything is started. I'm all for people doing what feels right, but I have to admit that the idea of having such casual sex bothers me. There is so much value placed on physical gratification. I'm not saying there isn't a time and a place for that, or that people should be shamed if they have casual sex. But it bothers me that sex isn't a big deal to people. It places so much emphasis on the physical without advocating a deeper connection with a person. There are so many diseases out there. Safe sex not it is possible, even if it is extremely unlikely, that pregnancy can occur. Like it or not. T. Sex has consequences both positive and negative. Then, if you are willing to accept those consequences and go for it. Personally, I wouldn't feel comfortable sleeping with someone I didn't already know and trust. Street. Sex is not only intimate. It is people at their most vulnerable. I wouldn't want to be vulnerable around a stranger, and someone I have only known for a few hours falls under that category of stranger. If you think getting to know the person would make you not want to sleep with said person, then maybe you should avoid having sex with that person, son. What I don't understand is how a man can lose respect for a woman who sleeps with them on a first date when the man slept with someone on a first date too. Just what? I think she has her desires, to which she's entitled. I don't think highly of men who take a woman to bed on a first date and then think ill of her. I completely hate this idea that sex is something the woman needs to avoid or only do after a certain amount of time, no matter what her personal feelings are, or be ostracized. There exists cheap and effective birth control. Women enjoy sex just as much as men do. Society needs to get over itself and the need to feel superior to others based on arbitrary rules. I actually prefer getting sex out of the way to begin with. I'm not good at escalation. And sex is an important aspect to me when it comes to relationships. Figuring sex out right off the bat makes things comfortable. And I can gauge the relationship. There's also sex. Dude here. I personally like having sex in the first date. And I usually do. A bit off topic here. But please stop reading Cosmo. For humanity's sake. Can I chime in as a woman here? I want to know if other women feel the same as me. If I have sex with a guy really early on, say first or second date, it means I have no intentions with him, but I find him physically attractive, or it's been too long since I've had sex. I've never had sex early with a guy I actually wanted to get to know and spend time with. I never even seriously thought about really trying to have sex with them that quick, because I was having too much fun getting to know them and having my giddy, girly crushy feelings. The chase and the anticipation is part of the fun. N. Is it like this for you other ladies out there, or did I just learn to duck like a man somewhere along the line? Northeast. I live in Quebec. Basically, we don't date people. The concept is hard to understand. We clearly seeing each other for 1.62. Being with the person. Okay, if she slept with me on my first date with her, obviously I slept with her on her first date with me. I think I'm a pretty good person. Why shouldn't she be considered by me as being in that same category? Plus, if the sex occurred because of a mutual desire of each for each as individuals, it could be, or else only beneficial to the relationship. Imo. It doesn't hurt a bit to have some cute in your relationship's foundation. I don't think I would want to move that fast. And personally I would want a woman who has viewpoints similar to that. I don't want a piece of meat. I want a brain. Apostrophe. I don't think anything more or less of a person because of sex in a first date. If I wanted, why should I think any less of her if she does? I think male/female sexuality is the same. I don't judge a woman any better or moral if she holds out. That's some antiquated BS right there. People still go on dates? Not sure why, but I never really took someone on a date and that was the first time I met them. Usually I knew them from school, through some friends, the internet, etc. etc. I already knew something about the person as we had spent time talking, texting, chatting online or on the phone, and the chemistry is what led to us taking the next step. So her sleeping with me on the first date doesn't seem weird. It's not like it was a blind date and it's our first time meeting. Now meeting a girl for the first time in a bar or a party is different. If I meet a girl while everyone is drinking and we end up having sex, then whatever. I have met girls like this in the past and ended up spending the night/weekend in bed with them, and our official first date was after we had sex multiple times. I see no issues with it either way. I guess if you met a girl briefly and only asked for her phone number and then barely communicated, except to tell her you want to get to know her better, then I could see it being weird if you end up having sex. Mainly because both parties weren't drunk. Otherwise sex is natural and just happens. Most people have sexual urges and sometimes it's hard to control. No reason to judge. I can't really answer honestly. I couldn't do it though. I would be too nervous to do it. No matter how hot she is. No matter how sexual she is. And no matter how much I can fantasize about it. At the end of the day, I'd be too nervous to do anything like that with her. I was a complete gentleman with my GF. On my first date with her I took her back to my apartment. And she spent the night. We did nothing sexual at all. She just slept there on my recliner. We had gone on 3 dates, each one ended up with her spending the entire weekend with me before we became intimate. And even then, with a load of foreplay and me going down on her, I was still too nervous to even get up. It took over a month before I was comfortable enough to do it. If I was single and I met a woman who wanted to do it on the first date, she would likely be very disappointed. I'm clearly also sleeping with her on the first date, so I hope we're both okay with it. If you sleep with a girl on the first date and think it's a bad thing that she also did the same thing, you're a jackbutt and I hope you get hit by a bus. Woman here throwing my 2 cents in. I have slept with someone on the first date twice and honestly it was just for the 6 both times. Date went well. He was charming and attractive. We had a lot of sexual chemistry but felt no emotional attraction. Both times were fun. No strings/no judgment encounters. I have been with my current boyfriend for over a year now, best friends turned lovers, and I totally would have hit that on our first date if we had had the chance. Neither gender should be judged or ridiculed for when or how they have sex. Both of my first date sex experiences were from there isn't going to be a second date, but I really want to bang you mince it, but I know that the I really like you and think this is going somewhere awesome mince it on the first date would lead to sex as well. L. People need to be less concerned with arbitrary rules when dating and more in tune with what they feel. L. Both sexually and emotionally. Y. As long as you are 2 or more consenting adults and everyone involved feels safe and comfortable, feel free to go at it like rabbits. S. Not much different than one that sleeps with me on the 3rd date or 3 months from now. The how or when of having sex shouldn't define a person. Male or female. Sex is a natural instinct. Instincts don't define who we are. Depends on the situation. Can she carry on an intelligent conversation? Is she a decent person? If so, then I would be happy to keep dating and see where it goes. I've been married to a girl I slept with on the first date for 4 years now, and we've been together for 9. If it's just about a physical attraction and there is no other connection, then it ends there, unless the sex is mind-blowing, and then we'll, hopefully, have more. I feel like it breaks the comfort zone, the ice, and makes room for a really healthy relationship. I don't expect it though. It's more like that bonus check you get for getting your boss coffee. Whether she would sleep with me or not on a first date does not really tell me anything significant about that person. I find different views on sex to often be of equal value, so whatever floats their boat, I'd probably tell them I'd want to wait a few more, but I wouldn't think any more/less of them for the fact alone. Doesn't bother me in the least. Clearly, I'd like sex in the first date, and why would I expect a female not to have the same desires? Let's face it. If I meet a girl I end up in bed with, we were both willing. To judge her for that would be ridiculous. I've turned girls down, and I've done it. I've been with girls who wanted to wait. They're all okay with me. If there's a certain spark, then ending up in bed right away can be very different to just ending up in bed. I'm not a dude, so I'll answer the latter bit of the question. I don't think it's taboo. I think some men have a whore or Madonna kind of thing going on with women, that they want to bang the easy girl, but marry the pure, virginal type. That's fine. Different people have different tastes. I will sleep with someone when and where I want to. One night stands are fun and have their place. FWBs are fun too. But I wouldn't withhold sex from someone I'm dating if we both want to do it. It seems silly, but that's my belief. All to their own. I honestly don't care if I like a girl and want to keep seeing her. Whether or not she put out on the first date doesn't enter into the equation. I'd think she doesn't make a big deal about sex, and rightly so. That's what I'd think. But I'm not sure I'd allow it to get that far on the first date. It depends on the person and how well I knew said person. You can know a person for years without dating, then have one date and hit it off well. But you can also date someone you've never even met before, like a blind date, and then I'd probably not want to go as far as sixth first day I met someone. Seems a bit rushed to me. And of course there's a lot of middle ground as well. So it's really hard to give a comprehensive answer on this. As a person who loves the chase, sex in the first date doesn't even bother me. It's how the girl acts afterwards. I've done it twice. The first time the girl was completely nonchalant about it, and I even more into because of it. The second one acted super clinging and was acting how people act years into a relationship. That one never hit date 3. I married a girl that did that to me once. We have an awesome marriage going on 10 years now and 2 kids. I have never thought anything negative. To be honest, I know within the first 5 minutes if I want to sleep with the woman. Looking down on someone that sleeps with you on the first date, I'd say it's childish, but the very idea doesn't compute. If a woman sleeps with me on the first date, logically, that means I slept with her on the first date. I basically did the same thing she did, and I did it with her. Someone would have to be a special kind of butt-fussy to be that hypocritical. Why don't we ask what women think of men who give it up on the first date? Why do we associate negativity toward a woman wanting to have sex when a man's virtues aren't questioned at all? It may just be the way the question is worded, but the subtle slant of our culture against women is worth noting. Also, Cosmo sucks. I slept with a guy on the first date. We are celebrating a year in a few days. These other people are right. If it feels right and you have a real connection, there's nothing wrong with it. I find the fact that there are a lot of comments saying it would make no difference really interesting. While I always thought men who denigrated women for doing something that they themselves were doing were complete mean person bags, I can tell you that back when I was young and single, Glenn, it certainly did make a difference to most of the men I knew. I find it interesting because that was back when most STDs were completely curable. Before we knew about AIDS or even herpes. Now that it is much more dangerous. Yes. I'm surprised that it doesn't matter more to both sexes. Zez. I admire their enthusiasm. What is there to think about? There are plenty of women I'd sleep with on the first date. So who am I to judge? If I sleep with someone on the first date, it means I'm very much into them. So obviously I wouldn't think less of them for it. I've had it happen a couple times. Both turned into good relationships. And I wouldn't have done it in the first place if I didn't intend to pursue them as such. If a guy thinks less of you for doing something that he's doing with you, then he's kind of an idiot. That she's just as easy as I am. So that made things a lot less complicated. Time to go play video games and grill steaks. To suggest that a woman shouldn't sleep with a man on the first date is to suggest that having sex is the utmost most important thing that can happen between two people. It isn't. Sex is awesome. Don't get me wrong. But we are unbelievably fortunate to be of the species that gets to do it recreationally. I'd rather date a woman. I'm married. So truthfully, I'm not interested in dating. But when I was dating, who is comfortable enough with herself that having sex is actually important and awesome to her. If she wants to get down, good for her. If she wants to get into a relationship, hey, good for her. But this idea that women should be chased because it, what? Gives them some form of control over the circumstances? Question mark, comma. Seems both passive aggressive and foolish to me. Because it means that she thinks that the only way to control the dating/relationship is based on whether or not she gives it up. She shouldn't give anything up at all. If she wants to, great. But the idea that she'd give anything up if she has sex is outdated and ridiculous. I married her. It wasn't just about sex, what just clicked. And now I'm married with a son, so we are doing something right. I think it's time we grow up about sex. Sex on the first date or third date means nothing unless you're irresponsible. There's nothing wrong with sex in the first date. This happened once. It'll be our 20th anniversary this year. Please click subscribe if you enjoyed this video.